Hey, can I get 3 more shots for the bros?
No, the car's been declined. You guys are done.
No, that's not true. That's impossible.
Yeah, you guys gotta leave.
No. Vote you did. Get drunk and grade them. We must. This is the Bro Force Squad's podcast Star Wars Movie Madness Tournament Championship Final.
We at the ship, baby!
Thank you for tweeting your votes at Bro Force Squad. I'm Captain Matt Geiger, alongside with Brian Chewy Banner and the Dark Side's legal counsel, Ronnie Cycli. Before we get to the ship, as the kids call it, we're going to do a third place matchup. So, movies ready. For third place, the greatest Star Wars movie ever, Return of the Jedi, versus The Phantom Menace, 2 acting and cast, and I throw it to Brian Banner.
You've got to go Return of the Jedi. I mean, somehow The Phantom Menace made 3 great actors and 1 potentially good actor all look bad. So it's got to go to Return. Cycli.
Yeah, I got to go Return here. Mark Hamill's best acting performance of the originals took place in Return and just carried it. Han was perfect as usual, and Leia was perfect. And, we can talk about other things, but when you talk about acting, Phantom Menace is known for his brutal, awful acting.
I'm going to go Jedi here, simply because I hated Luke through the originals, but actually kind of dug his character in the plot turn, how he went a little dark. I guess we'll see in The Last Jedi if that's a full turn or not, but I loved it. And like you said, Phantom, I think the acting is fine. I just think the script was just fucking horribly wrong. So going right into story, I always say, man, story is only as good as this villain. Now, both of these movies have good villains in Darth Maul and the Emperor, but the Emperor has a lot more screen time in this. So I'm going to go with Jedi, 4-0. Banner.
Yeah, I'm going to go Jedi as well. I think that this is a story that summed up the Star Wars saga, and it summed up Star Wars twice. It did it with the originals in that trilogy. Then you add the prequel trilogy onto that, and it sums up 6 movies fantastically. So I have to go Return as well.
All right, let's have a little fun here. Return writes itself. Think about it. The way Empire ends, you obviously know Return is they're going to rescue Han, and they're going to defeat Vader and the Emperor. What writing is necessary? There's nothing there. They weren't sitting in a writer's room for 4 years. Now, Phantom, there's actually a complex story behind it. We can discuss whether it's good or bad, but there's originality to it. There's politics into it. Geiger, I know you've touched up on that in a couple of the other podcasts. But the story is more unique in Phantom, whereas Jedi is just a standard rescue and defeat the evil story.
5-1. Jedi, going into best scene. I'm going to go segue off Cycli and give this to Phantom Menace. I am an Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader fan, and Jake Lloyd, who I have backed on this podcast through a lot of hate mails and threatening to kill the fans. I love you, but please just leave my wife and kids out of this. Jake Lloyd is fine in this movie, and the scene where he leaves his mother. Okay, Anakin's mother dies, Padme dies, he gets away from his kids. Why wouldn't he? The Jedi are all of his problems. All of his problems span from the fucking Jedi. The Jedi took him from his mother and everything. And that scene is really felt. Go rewatch it. It's a fantastic, well-acted, well-directed, well-scripted scene. Phantom. Banner. 5-2.
Yeah, it's Phantom, but not because of the acting. It's because of that end lightsaber scene with Darth Maul, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I've been riding that scene this entire tournament, and I will continue to ride it until we do another tournament that's, fucking 18 teams or however many you double this is. 16, whatever it is. That is the best choreographed, best lightsaber scene in all of the Star Wars movies, and come at me if you think I'm wrong.
I have to agree, because the thing is that I was listening to the other podcast when you guys were doing the semifinals and talking about the whole third act of Return. it's hard to define the entire third act as a specific scene, and I get that you guys talked about it. So I'm talking about individual scene, and the most rewatchable scene for me in the entire series, as shitty as the movie is a lightsaber scene in Phantom Menace. And I completely agree with you there, Banner.
Well, an honorable mention, the pod racing scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I've said it before. Those two scenes are the only scenes I care about in Phantom Menace.
But it's not just the choreographed scene, and you talked about that. The music. There's nothing better in the entire Star Wars saga, whether it be the originals, now the sequels, the one-offs, or the prequels, than that music.
Fantastic score.
The Force Ghost of Jeff Hornacek just entered my apartment to talk about that scene, but I made him go get me another Stella. So, 5-4, Jedi in the lead, right into impacts on pulp culture. Going right to Cycly because I'm really interested in what he has to say about this.
In pop culture, in everyday reference, if you go online, or you go on Twitter, you go on Facebook, you go on Reddit, most references will always be about Phantom Menace over Jedi. When you talk about pop culture, how often is Jedi spoken to in the everyday movie fandom? We do get a lot of the Vader, the end scene. We get the Emperor doing, watching the fight scene. But in terms of, you got to talk pop culture. You got to talk about the shittiness of it. You talk about Jar Jar Binks all the time. We're not talking positive, negative pop culture. You're just talking people talking about it. And you can't not go with Phantom.
Banner, it's 5-5. Phantoms come storming back. Are you going to let Jedi get this point, or are you going to go on the Phantom train?
Jedi, like I said, it was a perfect end to 2 trilogies. Fantastic done. I mean, that was the last, possibly, everybody thought that was going to be the last Star Wars movie we ever got twice. But I have to give it to Phantom here. Because if Phantom Menace hadn't been made and hadn't been so bad critically and whatever people say, I don't think we would get the new trilogy, the sequel trilogy that we're getting now, because Disney wouldn't have bought them for relatively cheap. I know $4 billion isn't cheap, but for a Star Wars franchise, that's relatively cheap, especially if you look at how much money they're making off of it now. And we wouldn't have got these movies because they would have been more successful. Plus, coming from our age and our generation, that was the first movie that we saw for the first time on the big screen. That's huge. That's just like our parents. We can't take that A New Hope away from them the first time they saw it and see that starship coming over the top of the screen. We can't take that away from them. They can't take Phantom Menace away from us. So I have to go Phantom Menace here.
6-5 Phantom Menace, 7-5 Phantom Menace. Banner, segue off you.
Yes, let's go.
I'm gonna go a little. So I agree with you. If my dad was grading this, he saw A New Hope when he was a senior in high school. I love the originals. The perfect trilogy ever. However, as a 90s kid, we're all 28 to 31 years of age. This is the first time to see it on the theater. I'll go you one farther, Banner. We were actually Jake Lloyd's age when we saw this. I was in 4th grade.
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, I am him. I could be a Jedi. I am that age. I could do the fucking pod racing scene. And just like how Home Alone is sacred to us instead of like A Christmas Story or anything else, it's because we were that kid's age when that movie came out. And we thought that we could do everything like that. I literally thought I could beat the shit out of a 40-year-old man because of Home Alone. So I'm going Phantom Menace just for that reason. 7-5. Rewatchability. I'm going to stop this train right now. I'm going Jedi just because simply it's a way fucking better movie, and it ends the greatest trilogy ever. And arguably, you could say it's the best movie in the trilogy. I would argue that. I think it's Empire, but a lot of people could argue that it's Jedi. So I'm going to go with that. 7-6 Jedi, Ronnie Cycli.
I'm going to break my own heart here, but I'm going to
7-6 Phantom, sorry. 7-6
yeah,
Phantom.
I'm going to break my own heart because I really do want to say Phantom as bad. I do enjoy bad movies. I do enjoy putting a bad movie in my DVD player and just sitting there and watching and laughing at it. But Return is still Return. It is a bet. If I have to pick, gun to my head, what I want to watch, it's going to be Return of the Jedi.
Wow, I'm shocked that you went that way.
I really didn't want to, but I'm going to be honest here. I'm
Banner,
under oath,
the person
guys.
that goes to Disney World 8 times a year, the only person that should be able to break this tie. It's 7-7. What do you think?
Look, Phantom Menace has 2 scenes that I will watch. If you just put those on a loop, I'll watch 2 hours of those 2 scenes. The pod racing scene and the lightsaber scene from Phantom Menace. Other than that, I mean, the rest of it is okay. Jedi, from beginning to end, is entertaining. It has my attention. I'm intrigued with every single piece of it, how it progresses from beginning to end. So, rewatchability, again, gun to my head, you've got to go Return of the Jedi.
See, Phantom has 2 scenes. Return for me has 2/3.
See?
2/3 beats 2
Return of the
scenes.
Jedi, 8-7, barely squeaking it out. Congratulations, you won a knife set from us. On to the championship of the greatest Star Wars movie ever. You voted at Bro4 Squad. Our bracket is at bro4squad.com. Without further ado, movies ready. A New Hope versus Empire Strikes Back.
For all the marbles.
And cast. Banner. Acting cast.
For this one, I'm going to go Empire Strikes Back. A New Hope was great. We got introduced to all these characters. Empire developed them. Empire, they really got to flex their muscles. We got to see what these actors and what these characters can do. So I got to go Empire.
Cycly.
100% agree, if not for the only reason of the maturity of Mark Hamill, of Luke, is a whiny little bitch in A New Hope. And as great as that movie is, it really distracts from it for me. And Empire, he's still a little whiny, but he's getting better. But overall, everyone else kills it in that movie. I think C-3PO really struggles, too, in A New Hope. And he took some acting classes as well.
I'm going Empire 2. Clean sweep. Basically the same actors, but as you said, they developed them better, and they kind of gave us something new to each character, which I actually kind of like better from A New Hope. Going right into story, I'm going Empire. Good wins in basically every movie, but this is the first time that I can recall ever that actually the villain wins, and you get good wins in The New Hope, but you get to see how the villain reacts in Empire Strikes Back, and they actually win. And seeing that on screen was awesome. You guys see the other side of the coin. So for that, as a dark side user, I'm going to Empire, up 4-0, Banner.
I think I'm gonna go New Hope. Empire is fantastic. I love the story, but we wouldn't have Empire without A New Hope. So I'm gonna go A New Hope because it's hard to take a story that builds off of another one. It's hard to not take the first story. So I'm going A New Hope, reluctantly.
Ronnie.
I'm going to go to Empire here. And one reason is A New Hope, as amazing as it is, really does rehash a lot of what makes the story as old a time hero-type movies. And, Orphan Boy figures out he's something special and didn't know that. We've seen that before, and we've seen that plenty of times after. What I respect about Empire's story is they took something that was a huge hit and took a big risk by ending it in a negative way. And not only that, with that twist, and they didn't know how audiences were going to react to Vader being the father, and then ending it with the Empire winning. And that was a big risk for a movie that had just taken off. And people could have come out of there if it wasn't done well in a negative fashion, and they pulled it off.
5-1, Empire Strikes Back, winning. Banner, best scene.
I don't know, to be honest with you. I can't answer this. Come back to me. Come back to me.
Okay, I'm going to pick the Luke Vader fight scene at the end of Empire. The only reason I didn't pick that in the Final Four is because Return of the Jedi is just better because the Emperor's there. However, we're not facing that. We're facing A New Hope. And this is way better than the Obi-Wan fight. The dialogue is fucking awesome whenever Vader says, "You're not a Jedi yet. The Force is strong with you, but you're not a Jedi yet." And I know this happened first, but it feels like the Bane versus Batman scene where you're like, dude, Yoda told him not to go. He doesn't have full power of the Force. He's going to get fucking owned if he goes, but he has to go or he's going to kill Han. So he's basically almost just sacrificing himself for Han. And that scene, you just feel the stakes. You're like, dude, you don't have a fucking shot, but you're there and you're trying, and it's noble, man. It was really cool. I rewatched it today at lunch. Definitely not during work hours or anything like that, but it's an awesome scene. Cycling.
I hate to agree because it's always nice to get different opinions on there, but you can't not go with that exact same scene. And when I was thinking about this one, scenes in New Hope, the thing is, there's not a specific scene. There is some specific scenes in New Hope that stand out, but really it's just a great long movie. The whole movie is a great scene, but great scene. with Empire, I mean, that defined a generation. That scene between Luke and when you find out he's his father. And so for me, everything you touched on is completely true. So I'm 100% agreement.
So 7-1, Banner. Do you have one?
I do. I am going to go with the end space battle when they blow up the Death Star in A New Hope.
Wow.
Because that scene to me is when Luke decides, hey, look, I can use the Force. I got it. He kind of got a big dick there because he didn't use the computer to shoot the little hole. So he used the Force. He got it. Made him think that he's bigger and better than anybody, that he could take on Vader. I think it gave him a false sense of security, which led us to the Empire scene. So I'm going to go New Hope.
You also get an Anakin Skywalker. I mean, he could fly too. He could basically fucking do it all, which is kind of cool. And I don't believe you saw that in the originals ever again. Him actually getting behind a TIE fighter. Okay, it's not even close, man. It's 7-2. However, impacts on pulp culture's next, which New Hope has not lost yet on this category. Does anyone have any reason? It's like a fucking marriage. Why Empire should gain this, or are we all going New Hope?
I mean, A New Hope started everything.
It started everything, and for me, man, this movie, if you see this in the 70s, you're like, oh man, this is nerdy stuff. This is Dungeons and Dragons. But somehow this became pulp culture. It started that, and it's still the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest movie franchise ever, and it's still going today. So, clean sweep.
Yeah, I think the only devil's advocate to that, which I am not voting for New Hope, is to this day, Empire still has the biggest plot twist in any movie ever.
Yeah.
When Luke, I am your father. Other than that, and still that doesn't hold anything to A New Hope starting at all. So,
did you guys know when you watched Empire? Because I did, and that took away from, for me as a kid watching Empire, I already knew Vader was Luke's father. So the impact pop culture for me is just.
I had heard the reference, I am your father, Luke, I am your father, but I didn't understand it.
Yeah, I didn't understand where it came from.
So it didn't,
like
it didn't
5,
necessarily take away from me. It actually enlightened me on a lot of like jokes and a lot of things that my parents and older people had said.
See, it didn't take away. I just turned it up in that scene. I was so excited to see it.
7-5, Empire over New Hope, going right into rewatchability. Banner.
I am going to, and I think I used this same reasoning earlier in the tournament, I'm going Empire over A New Hope because of Rogue One. I can't watch A New Hope without watching Rogue One now, and I can't watch Rogue One without watching A New Hope because they are so closely tied. So instead of watching 4.5, 5 hours of movie, I would rather watch a segment of the story in Empire.
Cycly?
I will, overall for me, Empire is the better movie, but it's a lot darker and it's a lot more serious. When I think of a rewatchable movie, I think about just casually putting a DVD in and just kind of enjoying myself. And A New Hope is a more fun movie. Not a better movie, a more fun movie.
Usually when you do that, you put in a foot fetish DVD, though.
But I switch off. Carrie Fisher's feet are pretty nice in that one. But, yeah, I mean...
Ding the shit out of that.
But yeah, if I'm just sitting at home on a Saturday afternoon, I'm going to pop in A New Hope.
I'm going Empire. I don't need a paragraph here. It's the greatest Star Wars movie ever, period. And we just fucking proved it, and so did our fans. Because, honestly, it's a clean 70-30%.
Wow.
Empire Strikes Back. And I don't think Empire had a fucking match for this entire thing. However, Last Jedi is coming out in 2 days, so the place for you to check out that review is right here. Broforce Squad, iTunes and YouTube, where you can find and subscribe to both. Twitter, @Broforce Squad. We're going to do a lot more of these tournaments, so be sure to follow us and vote. And you can find everything on our website, broforcesquad.com. Until then, see you in the dark side.